What I want to do is to take Nigeria from consumption to production.
My name is Mr. Innocent Chuboma. I started by trading on motorcycle spare parts.
They really ask, how much is the Nigerian life worth?
Policing is everybody's business, not the business of the men on uniform alone.
We will establish student loan 4 years course, must be 4 years course.
When you dispense, a pharmacist dispenses a drug to a patient, the name of the drug must be written on the envelope.
On Record is a 45-minute program where we discuss the actions, inactions of government, ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as business and health affairs that shape our worldview.
Join us 9 a.m. every weekday on your urban lifestyle station, High Impact 102.1 FM. On Record.
Every word matters.
A very good morning to you, Lagos. Good morning to you, Nigeria. Today is Nigeria's 63rd Independence Day. Are you celebrating? Good morning, Olumide.
Good morning, Kamale. How you doing? Happy Independence Day.
Happy Independence to you too.
Happy 63rd Independence.
I'm way below that age. So
all right.
Okay, and to you, our people out there, you know, today is the 63rd anniversary of Nigeria's birthday, and you cannot, you know, completely remove yourself from it. Whether things are good or bad or not so good, you cannot. But at this moment today, we tend to make Nigerians, you know, our guests. All of you are our guests, so we will be talking about Nigeria's Independence Day and reflection on Nigeria, you know, since 1960, and most especially with current realities playing out right in front of us. We will be giving analysis to that. We are going to touch briefly on Nigeria's President's Independence Day speech and the parts that, you know, stuck out to you. So we will be taking a look at that. So as Nigeria commemorates the 63rd years of independence, it's not merely a time to glance back at its strided past, but rather an occasion to marvel at the incredible journey and progress of gains and progress that the nation has, you know, undertaken since casting off the shackles of British colonialism. In 1960, Nigeria has danced through a myriad of trials and tribulations, yet it has continually surged forward, achieving substantial advancement in various, you know, facets of the development. One of the standout feature of Nigeria's post-independence odyssey is its unwavering dedication to democratic governance through periods of military rule, bouts of political turbulence, and electoral challenges. Nigeria has remained steadfast in its commitment to democratic ideals, showcasing the indomitable spirit of its people. On the economic front, Nigeria has witnessed a captivating transformation, and initially it, you know, teetered to oil exports. The nation has gracefully, you know, diversified its economy, embracing sectors like agriculture, technology, and manufacturing, and of course entertainment. The diversification not only shielded Nigeria from the fickle winds of oil price fluctuations, but also opened up vistas of job creation and economic empowerment. And the list goes on and on. But for the sake of our time, we will need to cut short our intro here. And you know, say it to you, the Nigerian Labour Congress, you know, after the government's, you know, nationwide broadcast yesterday, talked about having a meeting today by 11 a.m. that will either, you know, going to brief Nigerians about if they are going to continue with their strike or not. What's your perspective?
Well, looking back at what the president said yesterday, one of the things he said that I think I would hold him accountable for now, I'll read from his speech. He said, "I am attuned to the hardships that have come. I have a heart that feels and eyes that see."
Yes.
So I want to hold him accountable from here on, that you have a heart that feels and eyes that see. So you should be aware of things you are already aware, not should be aware. You are already aware of the hardship that Nigerians are facing. So I feel that your performance from here on should be different from every other president that comes.
Yes.
Or that has come.
Yes.
So basically, he said one of the key things he talked about was this subsidy removal. He made it clear from the speech. He made it clear, even though there had been rumors that subsidy had come back secretly, but he made it clear that we're not going back to that. We're not going back to that. And he also talked about, CNG, compressed natural gas buses,
yes,
which I'm still wondering, because, it's a rumor that gas price might skyrocket to about 18,000 naira shortly. So I'm wondering how we'll be able to, maneuver around that. But basically, the bulk of what he said had to do with labor. And
the Nigerian
Labour Congress, and how he's trying to see that some sort of incentives were reeled out to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal. As at yesterday, he announced in his speech that he was adding just 10,000 naira, but as at this morning, it has gone up again
to 35,000 naira.
So I think the Labour, in a way, they've been able to muzzle out some sort of demand. But the problem the Labour are always complaining about is that the federal government, they make promises, empty promises. They will tell them, okay, we'll do this, but the implementation is where that's the problem.
All right. Well, this is on record where every word matters, and we will be looking at Nigeria and be reflecting on the decisions governments have made so far. We'll be reflecting on different aspects of the economy. We'll talk about the economy. We'll talk about insecurity. We'll talk about so many other things that make us as a country. And of course, your input is very, very vital to our conversation. Our lines will be open now, and it is 0700 1021 1021. That is 0700 1021 1021. You can send WhatsApp message to our WhatsApp line on 0907 224 5018. That is 0907 224 5018. It's on record where every word matters. We're going to break. We'll be back shortly. To stay with us.
Put a touch of class and finesse on your brand by advertising with us at High Impact 1021 FM. For more information, call
0706 393 5694, 0915 958 1881, or 0902 745 3931.
Follow us on our social media platforms at High Impact 1021 FM. Our deals are hotter than the weather itself.
Our deals are hotter than the weather itself.
If it's public opinion, expert analysis, information that matters to you, we have it on record Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. on High Impact 102.1 FM. Call us 0700 1021 1021. WhatsApp 0907 224 5018.
Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us on the program. It's on record where every word matters. And yesterday, Mr. President's speech addressed the critical part of the agitation for Nigerian labor, which Olumide just touched about before we went on that short break. Once again, the line is open. 0700 1021 1021. That is 0700 1021 1021. The Nigerian Labour Congress is billed to go on a protest tomorrow, and that will be ascertained after their meeting today, which is scheduled for 11 o'clock. Yesterday, or even before yesterday, Labour, with its 40 sister affiliates, and the TUC with its 30 sister affiliates organizations, talking about NUPENG, ASU is not among them, and some other the non-academic senior staff association of Nigerian universities. They are one of those sister organizations. They have bottled up for strike action, come October 3rd, which is tomorrow. On one mouth, the federal government was pleading with labor not to go on strike, and the federal government was using the Nigerian or the National Economic Council to plead to labor. On the other hand, Lateef Fagbemi, who is the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, said labor should not forget that there is a subsisting court order that prevents them from going on nationwide strike. So labor at this time is in the midst of it. However, from what emerged from the speech, and the meeting with Mr. President or with the federal government yesterday, first, 25,000 naira was given to labor.
Yes.
It's going to be for a period of 6 months. That will be an addition to their salary. They rejected it, and the federal government added another 10,000 naira. But the question is, if labor accepts this, of course, they just have to accept it. If they accept it and call off the strike, when the 6 months is exhausted, are they going to call back for another strike because they want the government to continue to do? What exactly does labor want? How should they be holding the government to account? In what way can labor be used as an instrument to influence the government to make transformative policies and laws that will reflect on the life of the common people? Because even currently as we speak, most of the time when labor gets what they are looking for, it's not for the whole Nigerians that enjoy whatever is going to come. Like this 35,000 naira, it's not the whole of Nigerians.
Yes.
It's just for government workers.
Exactly.
We are not government staff.
Exactly.
Maybe you listening to us, you are not government staff. So how does the action of labor affect you? And in what way are you supporting labor yourself? So those are the questions we're putting out across to you. And Nigeria 63, what are you celebrating? Are you celebrating Nigeria 63?
Well, just like you rightly said, this 35,000 naira is for a selected few, the government workers. So it actually doesn't really benefit most of Nigerians. So I think if Labour accepts this, would that be what they were actually fighting for? Because they have said that this particular indefinite strike is the mother of all strike. Which and I remember Joe Ajaero said people should stock up their house.
Yes.
For foodstuffs and all that this is going to be the mother of all strike. So I'm expecting something that that will actually bring the federal government to their knees, literally, if they go on this strike. So if they have to call off the strike for just 6 months, 35,000 naira for government workers, is that all the labor is all about? I mean, I keep on saying it that the days of Oshomole, I don't think maybe we can have someone like that again. This guy, when he says we are going on strike, we are actually going on strike. People are actually prepared for that strike. So this 35,000 naira for me is just the federal government just trying to, like the paper said, dangle. They're just dangling some sort of meager amount
in front of labor.
Okay,
what should labor be fighting about?
If the federal government can give out 35,000 naira for 6 months, they should be able to do more. Where's that money coming from? It's coming from somewhere. I remember in one of our newspaper review, guest said the federal government cannot do this, they cannot do this. But where is this 35,000 naira that is going to 36 states? Where is it coming from? It's coming from somewhere, which means they can actually make provisions for this kind of thing if they actually want to do it. But they are just maybe priorities are somewhere else. They have priorities somewhere else, and the masses are not really what they are really concerned about at this point. But if they can actually bring out 35,000, I think they can do more. The labor should press for more. Fine, the 200,000 naira the labor are asking for, if you look at it somehow, it's debatable. I'm not saying it's not possible. It's debatable. They have also said that they've actually provided some provisions for the federal government, how they can actually generate this kind of amount to cater for the 36 states. But, some people have said this 200,000 naira is unrealistic, because even the 30,000 naira minimum wage, some states are not yet paying it. So how do you even enforce that? Not to now talk of increasing it.
Well, but what if they can pay it? But just that they are not. They just want to pay it.
With the state government, are they ready to pay that? Even the 30,000. How many states are actually paying this?
I think. Okay, let's take this conversation to another level. It doesn't look like Nigerian Labour Congress is holding the government accountable enough.
Yes,
Labour should not be holding the government for a meager. I won't call it irrelevant, a small amount of money or that's something that when they tell the government we are going to go on a strike, we are going to shut down the nation, then the government comes, dangles 35,000 naira and throw it to labor, and Lagos just sucks it in and postpones the strike. No. Now, I want to also make it clear that we are not agitating or promoting or sponsoring the fact that labor should go on strike.
Yes.
No. Labor should learn how to hold the government accountable in bigger things.
Yes.
One of the reasons why Nigeria is in such an economic turmoil, hardship at this moment in time is attributable to the removal of fuel subsidy. There is vast inflation in the country. So labor should hold the government responsible in this sense. Before the Muhammadu Buhari administration rounded up and went and left the saddle for President Tinubu to come, yes, they ensured Nigerians that the Port Harcourt refinery is going to be functioning in December, which yes, is like 2 months from now.
Yes.
2 months from now, we're going to be in December. So the Nigerian Labour Congress, the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria should hold the government accountable that, look, our refineries must work. There is no way. You cannot give us 20,000 naira for us to step back or postpone the strike action.
Yes.
And 6 months or 3 months after the Port Harcourt refinery starts working, we want the two refineries in Delta State to equally come on board to start working. Yes. After that, you should go to Kaduna State and make sure that the Kaduna refineries in the next 6 months after those of Warri come up needs to equally start working.
Yes.
These are the important things that Labour can hold the Nigerian government on. Labour can hold the Nigerian government to account to building silos in place when we talk about agriculture. So let me not just go ahead of myself, because we are going to talk about agriculture in its own sense, yes, and what the government needs to do and how Labour needs to be an instrument of not just be responding, being reactive. It needs to be proactive.
Yes.
Labour should be the instrument of sorts through which policies should be formulated. You have intellectuals in Labour who are their officers at the topmost echelon of this advocacy. So why are we not having that? Why are we not having such conversations? Issues about policy? Why is Nigerian Labour Congress not lobbying the Parliament and the National Assembly for us to put these things in place? Because in the Parliament, they have committees, in the Senate and in the House of Representatives, they have committees that oversee the Nigerian refineries.
Yes.
So why would Labour not influence them to make sure that they hold the government account? Our refineries just have to work, because it is not responsible for any government. The Buhari administration was here for 8 years.
No refinery.
The refineries did not work. Tinubu, is seen as the most prepared man to become president at this point in time, and he is president.
Yes.
If the Nigerian refineries refuse to work in his time, if the issue of insecurity cannot be addressed in the time when Tinubu is president, if the economic turmoil and the economic hardship that Nigeria is currently going through, it's not brought down to the barest minimum in the time where Tinubu is president, then it will not be any different from his predecessors who have become president. Yes. And he needs to be different, because he himself has said it, that he asked for this job. Nigerians has given him this job, and that we should not pity him.
Well, just like you rightly said, and just like I said earlier on, he has also said that he has eyes that see and a heart that feels. So I believe he's the most prepared man for this job, and he should be able to do better. Even in terms of democracy, in every aspect, he should be able to perform better. Now, even the fact that we've been hearing about these compressed natural gas buses for quite a while.
Okay, so now we are going to transportation.
Yes, we're going to how long? We've not seen it. Since the time they said they were going to roll out the palliatives and all that, we've been hearing about the CNG buses. And if you look at the fraction of what we get to each state, it's not going to be enough. So at the end of the day, the goal won't be achieved, because how many buses is coming to Lagos? How many buses are going to other states? And you're saying you want to reduce the cost of transportation. What about the private sector? What about this downfall and all that? I remember Governor Sanwo-Olu said there was going to be a reduction, I think about 10 or 15% for the private sector. And I think the BRT 25% for the that's the buses and all that. But have you witnessed that? Do you have an idea whether it's actually effective?
I think it has been rescinded after. Well, okay, during that time when the price was implemented, it worked for a while.
Okay.
Then later it was called off.
Well, that's
it's still there.
Is that for BRT or just
that's for BRT?
BRT.
The commercial motors.
I'm talking about the commercial.
No, those ones they work for. They are private individuals. The government does not have any regulation on the way they charge.
Yeah, but
the prices.
I remember that Governor Solu said I think 25 for the BRT, then I think 15 for the commercial, 15 for the commercial, 50 for the commercial buses, for the BRT rather.
Yes, 50 for the for BRT, then 25 for the commercial buses.
But I don't think this commercial buses they run their private business. You can't
it can't really influence them.
You can't really influence
them. Cannot. No, so if we're talking about transportation, first of all, I must appreciate the fact that there's a commencement of the rail transport system, a cargo system where it carries some luggage, truckloads of goods from Tinkan and Apapa Port down to Ibadan.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the debut of haulage and truck transportation that just commenced recently. So we're talking about transportation. We must say kudos to that. However, it is very, very minimal compared to the capacity that we are capable as a country of doing.
Yes.
So, yes, compressed natural gas buses. Do we have the facility?
Exactly.
Do we have the infrastructure in place? One accusation leveled against the Tinubu administration. Of course, Peter Obi in his time when he was campaigning, Atiku Abubakar when he was campaigning, including President Tinubu, they all said they were going to take out fuel subsidy.
Yes.
And Nigerians themselves want fuel subsidy to go.
Yes.
But this current administration, not just that, the manner it was removed. There was no solid plan on the ground. It betrayed that fact when they removed fuel subsidy and they saw the hardship on the land. They started running helter-skelter on what they are going to do.
I think maybe they had a plan. Maybe they didn't have a backup plan as to if this plan fails, what will fall back?
There was no plan.
There was it.
No, there was no plan. There was no plan. So a backup plan was not. In fact, there's no backup plan. There's no. You only have a backup plan when you have a major plan. There was no major plan. That was why when they came up with the 8,000 naira they are going to be given to each household, Nigerians frowned at them like, what is this the plan you had in place? Yes. And they have to withdraw that plan.
Yes.
That is not a plan. They have to withdraw that proposal, then go back to work it out. Yes, now the government is saying they are going to give 25,000 naira to 15 million vulnerable households. These are words.
Yes.
And if government is carrying out these policies, and if the government is doing it, then the government should make sure that they have data to back it up.
Yes.
They must have the presence of in fact, they must have evidence that this is what we are doing. This is the money that is being earmarked for this.
Yes.
1 month after the removal of fuel subsidy, the government told us they have 1 trillion naira saved. This is the 4th month after the removal of fuel subsidy.
So we should have.
Does that mean we have 4 trillion naira in place? Where is that money being disbursed to, or what's the money being allocated to do? What part of the economy is that money being allocated to address this problem?
Yes.
Mr. President said, "We have eyes, I can see. I have eyes, I can see. I
have a heart.
I have a heart. I can feel." The distance between the government and the governed is too far.
It's too far wide apart.
It's very, very far wide apart. Whilst we don't want to say those are rhetorics, and I equally understand the fact that the government needs to be given time, to prove its mettle. It is 150 days or there or so gone in this administration. Before we know, we're talking about a year. 2024 budget, should be, on the table now for the executive organ of government that will be drafting out the budget. So, what plan do we have in place for the Nigerian citizens? It boils down to leadership.
Yes. Leadership.
Leadership. The president himself said Nigeria has a leadership vacuum. That leaders needs to show themselves accountable. a leader must lead in the way that will have influence for the followers to be able to follow.
Yes.
So, and that place where Nigerians want to see leadership is most especially in this crude oil sector. If the refineries are not working, there is no, Nigerians don't see it as we are fixing leadership. Yes. If terrorism or insurgency and banditry has not been brought down to the barest minimum, Nigerians, will be looking for leadership.
Yes.
Because until these things are addressed, the question about leadership will still be right in our faces.
Yes.
Once again, it's on record where every word matters. The number to call is 0700 1021 1021. That is 0700 1021 1021. You can send in WhatsApp message to our WhatsApp line on 0907 224 5018.
Speaking about this leadership, just recently we got the report that we've not had an auditor general for I think about 4 years. Now that's room for so many corruption going on. I can't even imagine what is going on in all these government agencies.
If all our accounts have not been audited.
Exactly. I mean, how come? Also, I would also poke holes into the petroleum ministry. Who is going to head that? Is it the president that's actually going to head this ministry? Because I think it's big. It's too big for the president. The president is saddled with the whole responsibility of managing Nigeria. So him now, how would he divide his attention to monitor what goes on in the oil sector? How will he do that?
Well, he has the Minister of State that will do that and report back to him.
Are we saying there's nobody competent enough to handle this part? I know former President Buhari too did the same thing, but are we saying there's nobody competent enough to handle this sector on its own, and he would do amazing,
it is easy. Job? It's easy. I think the strategy behind it is you have the Minister of State run it.
Okay.
The Minister of State the nomenclature is just there as the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources. But he operates as the minister in charge of that petroleum resources, of that department or of that ministry, then reports to the government, which is the same thing that applies to every other ministry that reports straight to the government, to the president, through the chief of staff to the president.
Okay.
So I think it's the same thing. That shouldn't even be where our concern should lie. But it's the way the materials, the resources should be harnessed. What landmark, what roadmap have you drawn for Nigeria?
Speaking about the oil again, how much has been remitted from that particular the Nigerian National Petroleum Company? How much has been? We don't really have that figure.
Data.
We don't have it. So we don't even know whether they are generating. We don't even know where that money is going to. We don't know whose pockets it's going into. We do not know anything. We just know that we have a Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited that is there, and someone heads it, Kyari heads it, and that's all we know. How will we be able to tackle oil bunkering? How will we be able to tackle oil theft? How will we be able to tackle so many things if we do not have someone who is in charge, if nobody is held accountable? There are people, if they've not remitted since for a while now, what is happening? Are they actually saying they can't even say they are not generating money, because they are actually generating. So where's that money going into? I thought there was a federation account that all the money has to go into.
Yes.
The single account. What's happening? I think one of the characteristics of leadership is being accountability, being able to be transparent. Some of these things we do not know. We do not know even till now. If you ask an average Nigerian, do you know how much the president and do you know how much the governor, legislators, and people don't have an idea. We don't really know. We just know that they earn maybe ridiculous figures. They earn some amount that juicy packages around it or not. That's all we know. So it's all part of accountability. We have to be part of being a leader. Is you have to be accountable. You have to be transparent.
Okay. Now we've said a little more. We've talked more about the negatives. Can we jump to the positives?
Okay.
So what are these positives in the midst of the celebration of Nigeria, the 63rd anniversary? What are those things that we can look at as a country, and smile? that, oh, we've come this far. Oh, we've done very well in this regard. So when we look at insecurity,
okay,
I tend to beam the light on the Nigerian armed forces.
Okay.
Most of the time when we talk about insecurity, we are talking about the strategies in which the government is deploying to combat terrorism and insurgency.
Yes.
And we always unearth how the government is not doing a good job with regards to not just fighting insecurity and terrorism, with all those miscreants or antisocial activities that operate the one chance buses where they victimize people, assault people, collect their money, their phones, and how they kidnap people, and force money out of. But what about the Nigerian soldier that's in the field that paid the supreme price? It was not a joke when in Niger State or in Plateau State the Nigerian military officers were ambushed and attacked.
Yeah, such a sad event.
And in quite a number of them were killed.
Yes.
They paid the supreme price for that. And one of the reasons, no matter how it sounds, we must come to the fact that one of the reasons why we still have peace around, while Nigeria is still standing today, is because of the work the Nigerian military, talking about the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Navy,
yes,
the Nigerian Air Force, the Nigerian Customs Service, the Nigerian Police Force,
yes,
the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC,
yes,
and other security agencies.
Yes.
It's because they are doing their job. Yes. That is why we still have our country. So we must celebrate the lives of the men and the women of the armed forces that pay the supreme price, that go through sleepless nights just to keep Nigeria safe, to prevent Nigeria from being overrun by terrorists, insurgents, or bandits. We must acknowledge that in this 63rd anniversary, and I don't think, yes, they can do more, far more. In fact, we can't really say that our expectation has been met when we talk about combating insecurity and terrorism in Nigeria.
Yes.
That we can say it's because of their action. We can say it's because of the action of our men and women on the armed forces,
yes,
that Nigeria is still standing today.
Yes, it's actually commendable. I must commend the Nigerian Army. They've actually been doing well. Another sector I'd like to also commend is the fight against drug abuse. That's the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. They are also doing well. The fight against drug abuse is not something that it's global. It's not something that's just Nigeria that's battling with. It's global. It's everywhere. And I think they have actually been, they've been doing a lot. You can see what they are doing. They're always posting updates. They're always giving updates about this, that. So I think that's another agency that's something that, yes, we should be commended for. That, yes, we are not just sitting back and folding arms and saying, okay, people can do whatever they like. No, there's a fight against drug abuse, and it's really affecting especially the youth. And I think it's something that we need to actually commend ourselves for.
Okay. And one other thing I would like to talk about is this: the Nigerian youth, the Nigerian out there, that survives.
Yes.
Irrespective of the harsh economy,
yes,
irrespective of the tough challenges, the difficult time, the Nigerian youth, the young Nigerian, that burns the midnight candle, even when there is power or there is no power,
yes,
that stays in the confines of his or her room to create ideas.
Yes.
That doesn't take arm to steal.
Yes.
That's not involved in 419,
yes,
or in the local parlance yahoo or
online
fraudulent
fraud.
Yes. But task is or her brain,
yes,
to make ends meet. The Nigerian that never gives up,
yes,
that kept chasing his or her dream,
yes,
notwithstanding so many hurdles. You need to provide power for yourself. You need to provide security for yourself.
yes.
And at the moment as we speak, fuel price is on the high side, and transportation is the cost of transportation is something else.
Yes.
And in spite of that, the Nigerian youth that keeps kept keeping on. Some of them, yes, they embrace the Japa syndrome, and they have to make, of course. So what's the benefit if you are in your father's if you are in your father's house and you are so poor you cannot take care of yourself, and if you leave your father's house and you travel to another man's country and you are able to make ends meet even with the little effort you can muster, I think the Japa syndrome or the Japa thing should not be condemned. But my one of the things I have seen, the positives that I have seen so far, is that the Nigerian youth, or the Nigerian that never gives up.
Yes, talking about that, I think, one of the things we should commend ourselves for is that Nigerians, we have the best brains in the world, because the only reason why this Japa syndrome is so rampant is because we have bright brains. These countries, other countries, they know these things, so they are actually, there are so many packages.
Taking your best brains. You see,
they're taking our best
the strategy that these people use abroad. Okay, just recently, Joe Biden appointed 2 Nigerians to be some of his advisors, and so they are going to be either in the cabinet or in the team of the president. Just know that there are criteria that these foreign countries put in place.
Yes.
If you are going to study abroad, you have to state your purpose, your reason for studying, and all the criteria you fulfill, and the financial capacity, that you have to exhibit, that you could take care of yourself, and all of that. And they provide 20 hours in a week for you to work. They're not just taking out. If you as a Nigerian can afford to do that, you are not really the downtrodden kind of Nigerian. Yes, you are a little bit above average, or at the most the average Nigerian who can fend for themselves. So they're not just taking people off the street. They are taking some of your best brains. They are taking some of your best minds who are creative, who are innovative.
Yes.
They are taking those people who are already educated in your country, who have the wherewithal to contribute positively to the growth of the economy of the country where they are traveling to.
Yes.
And that in itself, that is why it's almost, so why are they taking these people, and what are those things that make Nigerians and other Africans want to relocate to these countries? These are the same thing the government should be looking at, and to replicate same here, so that we can have our population can be a plus and growth and development to our economy.
In closing, I remember when President Tinubu was in New York, in US, he was actually appealing to Nigerians to come back home and develop the country. But I think he has to actually do more than just appealing. You have to provide an enabling ground for these people to come back, because there's actually a reason why they left, and a lot of people are actually leaving. If you go to the airport today, I can tell you the crowd there, it's unimaginable.
All right, this is where we draw the curtain. Wishing you a 63rd anniversary of Nigeria. I am Oyin Priye Krumale. This is on record, and we are drawing the curtain. Thanks for listening.
And it's been a pleasure listening to us. I'm Olumide Shukwe. Enjoy the rest of your day.